If you want to make an American fighter jet, then obviously we're going to have to start with the best stealth bomber in history, the B-2 Spirit. In this video, we will tell you every little detail about this plane, including its development capabilities and all of its tech specs. So let's get started. Let's begin with the story of how this amazing aircraft was made. The Northrop B-2 bomber is a marvel of modern technology. But when it first began development, it was clear that this plane would need to be built by two separate companies. These two companies were Northrop Grumman and McDonnell Douglas. They decided to combine their efforts on such an ambitious project because they both had experience making military aircraft. Northrop Grumman had been around since 1939, while McDonnell Douglas had been founded in 1920 together. These two companies would form one powerhouse which could take on any challenge. In fact, these two companies came up with the initial design concept for this plane back in 1981. This was done under a classified project called EAP, Experimental Aircraft Program. But things didn't really move forward until 1987, when the Pentagon finally gave them the green light to build the first prototype of what would become known as the B-2 Spirit. The next step after building the first prototype was to decide what kind of engine should be used on this aircraft. The designers wanted to create a plane that would be able to fly long distances without refueling, so they chose turbofan engines. These engines are more fuel efficient than other types of jet engines, but they also require more maintenance. The team ended up selecting the Pratt & Whitney F1029 engine for this project. It's a twin-shaft high-bypass turbofan engine with a low bypass ratio. This meant that the engine could generate enough thrust to keep the B-2 in the air for hours on end without needing to refuel. But it also meant that the engine would be larger and heavier than other options. However, the added weight was a problem because the B-2 was designed to carry heavy payloads over long distances. Once the engine was selected, the team could finally start building the rest of the aircraft. They began by creating a scale model of the B-2, and then they tested it in wind tunnels to see how well it would fly. They also did computer simulations to make sure that the plane would be stable and maneuverable. After the prototype was approved, they built two more examples of the B, which were then sent to Edwards Air Force Base for testing. There, pilots put the plane through its paces and engineers gathered data on its performance. By the time the B-2 was ready for production, it had undergone rigorous testing and refinement, resulting in one of the most advanced aircraft ever built. Now that we know how this bomber was made, we can go into even more detail about its design and construction. The B-2 is a flying wing design, which means that it has no distinct fuselage or tail. The wings are the primary structure of the aircraft, and everything else is attached to them. This design gives the B-2 several advantages. For example, it makes the plane very maneuverable, because the wings can be moved independently from each other. It also makes the plane extremely stealthy, because there are no sharp edges or protrusions that could give away its position. Finally, it allows the B-2 to carry large payloads without sacrificing speed or range. The B-2 is made mostly out of composite materials, which makes it very light yet incredibly strong. The wings are made out of carbon fiber reinforced plastic, while the rest of the aircraft is made out of aluminum. All this cutting-edge material gives the B-2 some truly impressive stats. It has a wingspan of 172 feet 6 inches, which is wider than the Boeing 747. It also has a length of 106 feet 6 inches and a height of 39 feet 6 inches. When fully loaded, it weighs 197,000 pounds. That's heavier than an Airbus A380. Despite its size, the B-2 is incredibly fast. It has a top speed of over Mach 2, meaning that it can travel at more than twice the speed of sound. It also has a range of over 7,000 miles, which means that it can fly from any point in the United States to any target in Asia without refueling. Now let's talk about the payload. The B-2 can carry up to 27,000 pounds of bombs, missiles, or other equipment. This includes the latest generation of air-launched cruise missiles, which can travel at subsonic speeds and hit targets from great distances away. The B-2's payload capacity and range make it the perfect platform for carrying out deep penetration strikes against high-value targets. In fact, the B-2 was specifically designed to be able to penetrate enemy airspace undetected and delivered ordnance with pinpoint accuracy. The plane's stealth capabilities are so advanced that it's often referred to as a ghost plane. Radar waves simply do not bounce off its surface, making it virtually invisible to enemy radar systems. Additionally, the B-2's high altitude and high speed make it difficult for air defenses to track and intercept. As a result, the B-2 is one of the most formidable aircraft in the world today. Its combination of stealth, range, and payload makes it a deadly weapon against any potential adversary. But even with all of these advantages, the B-2 is not without its critics. Some people argue that the plane is too expensive to operate and maintain. Others say that it's not maneuverable enough to be effective in close-quarters combat. However, these criticisms are largely unfounded. The truth is that the B-2 is one of the most cost-effective bombers in the world. And while it may not be as nimble as a fighter jet, it's still very much a formidable weapon. Let's finish off this video by talking about the cost, production numbers, and future upgrades for the B-2 Spirit. Only 21 examples of this aircraft were ever built. The reason for this is that it was extremely expensive to produce. Each plane cost over $2 billion to manufacture. That's more than the price tag of any other military aircraft. Because of this high cost, production was halted in 2000 after just 21 examples were built. However, the U.S. Air Force plans to upgrade these planes with new engines, new weapons, and new aviation. These upgrades will make the B-2 even more stealthy, even more powerful, and even more capable. The new engines will allow the plane to fly further and faster, while the new weapons will give it more punch against enemy targets. The new avionics will improve the plane's ability to navigate and strike with precision. In conclusion, the Northrop B-2 Spirit is one of the most advanced and capable bombers in the world. It has no equal in terms of stealth, range, and payload. The plane is a true technological marvel that has pushed the boundaries of what is possible in aviation. While some may argue about its cost or effectiveness, there is no denying that the B-2 is an incredible feat of engineering and a powerful weapon for the United States military. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about one of the most amazing aircraft ever built. If you did, please leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos about aviation and other topics. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.